Hi, and welcome to the training video for laboratory users using STIMS, North Carolina's Sexual Assault Evidence Collection Kit Tracking and Information Management System. In this video, I will demonstrate how evidence personnel will receive sexual assault kits into the laboratory system and return that to submitting or requesting agencies. Also, what data fields need to be entered by analysts for laboratory results. This is what the web page is going to look like. You need to be a user in your agency. Each agency will be assigned an administrator. Your administrator will have a passkey. This passkey can be shared with authorized users so they can self-register, or the administrator can create the lab user's username and password and fill in the mandatory fields and save, and then share that information with you. Or again, like I said, they could share the passkey with you and tell you to self-register. So I'm going to walk you through self-registering. From the website, you'll click Login. You'll go down here to Register Here. So you'll have your username and password when you get done. Register here. That opens that same box. You enter in the passkey information and hit Save. This will prompt a notification to your administrator, who will then verify that you are an authorized user and give you access into the system. And now your username and password will work. So I'm going to log in as a lab user. You see we have three tabs. We have incoming kits, we have in-process kits, and we have ready-to-return kits. Our incoming kits will have a list of any kits that have been sent to a lab, or our particular lab, from an agency that is planning on bringing those kits to the lab. We won't receive them until they're physically in our possession, but they have to be sent to you in the system before you can receive them. So they'll show up in your queue, and you can receive these kits multiple ways. You can click the kit itself. We'll show you the last action taken with this kit. You can see the timeline at any point. You can see how each of these are laid out pictorially, and all of the steps in between are documented. Let's go back to that same screen. From here, after you click the kit, it opens here. You can click the Receive Kits button. It's going to pre-fill this information with who's bringing it to you, the kit number, and today's date. These fields are editable if you need to change them. Can't do a future date. And then click Receive. Once you click Receive, if you get a green line, then you know that that action was successful. And you see that it is no longer in our incoming kit tab. We're reduced down to 1. You can also receive this kit by clicking here on these radials, Receive Kit, and it would again pre-fill that information. You can also receive kits straight from the system freehand, but again you'd have to type in the information. When you click the Receive Kit button, you can type in a lab number that is a kit that you already have and fill in the data. But again, that would be the hard way to receive this kit, because if you clicked it any of the other ways, it pre-fills that data. But we also set up a mechanism. If you have a kit in your hand that you're trying to receive and it is not on your incoming tabs list, you can receive it. Now, there will be a hiccup in the chain. All the links will not be complete, but that can be fixed through the admin function. So if we have this kit in our hands from this agency, we can fill in this information and we hit Receive. And if that kit has been completed up to the point of being sent to the lab in their own system, then it will give you this error. If it doesn't give you this error, then it hasn't been properly filled out at the law enforcement site. the easiest thing is to say no and ask that agency to update the kit in the STIMS system so that it is actually sent to the laboratory. But if you're in a situation where you can't, we can still receive this at the lab by clicking yes, and it will be moved to our In-Process Kits tab. From this screen, we can look at this kit, and I'll show you what I meant by a broken chain. See, this doesn't have the arrows in here. This will be flagged on my screen that I'll be checking as an administrator, and I would call and confirm this information and get it correct in the system and fix this flag. But again, this chain isn't quite tied together properly, but it still does show that these things did happen, that Alamance County did receive it from Alamance Regional, and Alamance County now has given it to the lab. We just need to add that extra step. Now that the kit has been received, it's moved from the Incoming tab to the In-Process Kits tab. You can see some information has been entered here. Your laboratory can determine your policy and procedure, who enters what information. Certain information can and should be entered into the system. One of the first things would be the case number. Your evidence personnel would have that because they would have assigned that upon receipt, and you can then type that information in. When they save it, it just says yes, this did complete. You can look at the timeline at any point. It is here. It's in process of being analyzed, but there's additional data that needs to be entered. This line is added here, so at a glance an analyst can find a kit that they have in their hand by this label from their own laboratory label, but also this is going to be the barcode on the end of the kit. When an analyst is ready to complete a case, they've actually done the analysis, they're going to go in through Edit, or they can click the kit individually and it will open. If you're an outsourcing laboratory, this information is going to be entered by that CODIS eligible lab, or CODIS entry laboratory. So all you would need to put in is date completed. If you are a CODIS entry lab, you would enter the proper data here. Once you enter in this date of when the results are done, or when you are done with your analysis, and hit save, you'll see that Kit 37 has moved off of our list and it's now in the ready to return. So again, our evidence personnel will handle from this list the agencies when they show up to take this kit. We will transfer here from this kit back to the originating or submitting agency and send it to them in the system. Now they can receive it back in their system when they get back to their agency. So if you are a laboratory that does enter in this information, you'll see bits of data here, and you saw what happens with no. You put in the complete and it's done. However, if you do say there is a database entry, something being entered into CODIS, it's going to ask the date that it was entered, and then you would put a completed date. And again, once you save a completed date, this kit will leave your In Process tab and move to the Evidence Processing tab to be returned to agency. So after that information is entered and date completed is placed in the system, that kit moves to ready to return, and then the kit can be returned to the agency. Now, while it is in the ready to return, it is editable by us. There's additional information that could be put in there. But the big step is going to be later when there is a CODIS hit to a kit that we have received. we have a search function available to the laboratory. When you click on search, certain kits are going to be there, and the things that last actions have been taken here. But when we click on show search, we can click in the kit number, or search by other functions including the laboratory number, and search. It's going to bring up that kit, and this kit, even though it's no longer in our possession, is still editable by us. And so at that point we can put in that there was a hit today to an offender and hit save. So now that information was added even though that kit is not on our list. These fields were added so that information and statistics could be gathered more readily straight from this system to answer the many requests for updates on data and statistics. So again, this information will probably not be entered before the kit leaves the possession initially of the laboratory. But again, because you have had, you are in that chain, you can now search that kit and bring it up and upload that additional information into the system. So that's really the highlights for laboratory entry into STIMS. The whole reason this tracking system was created was, well, there were multiple reasons, but one of the reasons was for victim to have better, easier access to know exactly where her kit is. So the kit that we just looked at, victim knows that her kit serial number is S00011. She can type in this without a login password or anything to go with it, and it is going to bring up the timeline. And we're calling this our victim or our public portal. Again, there's no specific information here to know that this was this particular victim's kit. However, the victim knows her kit number, and she knows, you know, where she reported to, and would again be able to follow the progress and status of her kit, and again would have status here, so she would know at this point that it was analyzed by the laboratory. So there's the received by the laboratory, and then there's that final completed date, and that information changes the status, so a victim can again track the movement of, make sure that her kit is moving, and two, can check the current status. Now, our CODIS entry, CODIS information would not be shared in any of these status screens. But again, she would know that he or she would know that the analysis was complete. Okay, that concludes the training for the laboratory personnel using STIMS. I appreciate your attention during this time. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. My name's Susie Barker. Number is 919-582-8841. And my email address is sbarker@ncdoj.gov, right there on the screen. So, again, I'm going to be the system administrator until further notice. We will go from there. Good luck with this system. And, again, contact me if you need me.